for me is when you look at somebody through the eyes of the medical model, let's say, like a machine, and you look at them and go, oh, they don't have the same body movement, that means they're less than, but my definition of liberation would be if somebody like me could look at an apartment complex and the landlord or even a house owner, if I had the means and the ability to keep my, like, just having a mind to buy an actual home instead of renting, I would hope that my definition of an equity role is somebody looking at me and going, oh, yeah, we have that for you. We have a bedroom downstairs, or we have the means to make this work, instead of them saying, oh yeah, it's successful, and then I get there and they're like, oh, we didn't realize you were quadriplegic, because that happens all the time.
There's a lot of ableism in housing. There's a lot of preconceived notions about income and how people receive their income. There's been a lot of discrimination on people that are receiving AISH benefits. I've seen people denied homes because they are on AISH. Even though they recognize that it is a permanent benefit, they are still reluctant because they have a lot of stereotypes about who these people are and why they might be on AISH. The AISH income is wholly inadequate. People receive $1,863, and your typical 2-bedroom apartment in Edmonton is coming out over $1,700. It's not even a living wage. It's nowhere near to minimum wage. It works out to about $11.50 an hour based on a 40-hour work week. And that is unsurvivable. So what we're seeing is people who are living in groups. They're living with several people. They're sharing 1 or 2-bedroom apartments, 4 to 5 people at a time. It's putting people at risk. It's putting a lot of women with disabilities at risk, and particularly it's putting them in a position where they can be exploited, and that's something that's very concerning to us.
Like, people with disabilities don't often get the right to choose a place they want to live in, and some people discriminate them again based on their disability and would ask only the parents or guardians of that person who is still able to make their own personal decisions of where that individual should live.
Most apartments that I can afford that are within my affordability range are walk-up buildings. Most apartments that would be within my affordability range are too small. They're missing appliances that I need. By appliances that I need, I'm talking about a dishwasher. Because of my disability, I have a hard time standing at the sink to wash dishes. I usually will do a few, but only the ones that don't go in the dishwasher.
I'm hearing nowadays like people with disabilities, when they're not getting the help they need, especially when it comes to finding affordable, accessible, safe places to call home, they then are considering like self-harm, or even MAID nowadays, medical assistance in dying, which isn't great. I want to see more help for these vulnerable people. Really, they need a safe place to call home. started advocating because I've experienced a lot of issues myself when it comes to, let's say, housing. For example, I used to live in a northeast Calgary subsidized apartment building owned by the Calgary Housing Company. And that building, I was stressed like mentally every day because of lots of maintenance issues going on, including flooding, cockroach, bed bug infestation, you name it. Really, it was tough. And that building are filled with lots of vulnerable, low-income immigrants, people with disabilities who were struggling with the same issues like me and who are unable to speak up for themselves. So I said I should try and help get these problems solved by speaking up for them. I created groups such as one Facebook group called Alberta's Landlord/Tenant Complaint Group, which was aired on CBC News. I created this group where it can give people a place to voice their concerns, comments, questions, anything related to housing issues that they've been through. I've also what's called speak to all levels of government, including some MLAs in Calgary. Sometimes I do feel I'm not being heard, but I still try my best to speak up and show them what's right for everyone.
Some of the issues that I've been directly involved with when it comes to apartment and especially affordable apartment, way back in 2015, the Health Advocacy Federation was involved in getting rid of the Persons with Developmental Disabilities, or PDD, safety standards. And those safety standards would have forced landlords to have to increase the safety of the apartment, so like putting sprinkler systems in. They would have to ensure that the temperature of the water, the tap, only went to a certain temperature and didn't go beyond that. Things like that. And they would have to have an elevator put in. I was living in a 3-story walk-up at that time, and I remember asking my landlord, I said, if this went through, and you had to abide by these new rules, would you be able to? And he said, no, I would have to evict you because the building is as old as it is, I'm not able to make those improvements that need to be made. So luckily we were able to get it, we were able to stop the safety standards.
Another issue of ableism is that many apartments, many places that people on age may be able to afford are inaccessible. So Edmonton is dotted with walk-up apartments that are affordable for students and single people, but people with disabilities, many people with disabilities can't access those because they are not modified into an accessible unit. Alberta does not have an Accessibility Act. It's one of the last 2 provinces that does not have an Accessibility Act, so there is no obligation for people to make these accommodations. And so you see a lot of new apartments coming up. You see a lot of really inexpensive places that could be accessible for example, for people who are aging in place, like seniors, that are not accessible for people with disabilities just because of the income.
In general, people and some landlords, especially in Alberta, I noticed they just think accessibility only means a place with elevator, but no, that's not true. It also means a place that is big and wide enough, and when I say wide, like wide enough to fit, let's say, non-folding mobility aids such as a non-folding wheelchair, non-folding walker. Bigger spaces in homes are needed.
Places out there are not equipped with taking care of people with disabilities, and the rent is so high, and people like us with disabilities can't afford to pay rent, because some of us are low income. We don't have that much to afford or whatever, so it's hard for them to find something.
A person making minimum wage gets about $2,500 a month. A person on an AISH gets about $1,800. This is far short from these two figures. A person, in order to own a place and pay the market rent, the standard the landlord usually uses is, can you pay, can you afford, do you bring in 3 times the rent, whatever it is. People on age are lucky if they bring in a single rent payment a month. They do not have the money to buy groceries. They do not have the money to do anything at all in these market rent buildings. And unfortunately, the market is just getting more and more expensive. There are apartments out there that are 1 bedroom that are more than someone's age check. And these apartments are in both Edmonton and Calgary. And unfortunately, it is these apartments that it's the more accessible apartments that are more expensive. Because I receive a subsidy from Capital Region Housing, I usually live in market housing. This means I choose where I want to live, and I pay a market rent wherever the landlord tells me there. I also, because of my walker, need to choose a place that is wheelchair accessible. Well, I do not need a wheelchair adapted place. In fact, the wheelchair adapted places usually don't work for me. My grandma helps me with chores. She also makes sure that I'm following. She also makes it possible for me to follow the rules of the building that I'm living in. Grandma basically is stuck doing a support worker role. She ends up having to come. Normally, a support worker would come in every week and check on me. That's what I want. Because the government says I'm too smart, Grandma ends up doing this. Grandma also usually takes me grocery shopping and everywhere else. But it's that checking on me, that making sure that I'm okay, making sure that I'm alright in my place, that's missing. I'd like our government to realize that we are in a bit of a housing crisis, and to fix it, you need to support people with disabilities.
The pros of living here is there's nurses here, LPNs. There's a healthcare aide here. if you needed help with something, the aides are here to help you. Like my showers, I have showers twice a week. They help me with my showers. I can do them, but they usually help me with showers. There's no bathtubs here. But before I came here, I had problems getting into bed myself and all that. So I had to have their help to get me into bed and help me to get comfortable and all that. But now I know how to do things. I know how to get in my own bed and I know how to get out. But I do need that little help, the support to get a shower. I think the barriers I faced was I don't know, finding that right place for me to be in, and I don't know, finding something that's close by and not so far away, close to family and close to your friends and going places, close to shops and your work.
For me personally, I just want to, again, a safe, affordable, accessible place to call home and to have my own independent living space, which I'm not getting now because I feel that I'm being discriminated based on my disabilities by the city of Calgary Housing Corporation, Calgary Housing Company.
There are significant barriers to people with disabilities to get the services they need. It is not easy to receive AISH. It can take years to be approved. People typically are denied at least once. You need to qualify medically, you need to qualify financially, you need to prove eligibility, that you're an Albertan, that you're eligible to receive services. And so there's a lot of barriers around that. And then having to overcome healthcare professionals' personal biases and get that documentation. It's a system that is meant to exhaust people. PDD and disability services is significantly underfunded. We're seeing many people with disabilities who do not qualify for services because of the IQ requirement ending up in the homeless encampments. 77% of the people in encampments have been diagnosed with FSCD, and a lot of those people were not diagnosed until they were adults, and that automatically eliminates that person from PDD services. So we're seeing a lot of mental health crisis in people with disabilities. Lack of income is a significant stress for people. You think about people who aren't on barriers and middle class who is struggling, and how that financial stress can really impact people's mental health, but that is also happening in the disability community. So we are seeing a significant increase of mental health with a decrease of supports and resources.
Just think that our world is expanding, and mental health is so complex. It doesn't matter who you are. You can have mental health struggles, and you should be allowed and able to have a support animal, whatever that looks like for you. Whether that's a dog or a cat or a guinea pig or a hamster or a ferret, I don't know. But the type of animal shouldn't matter. It should be the connection that you have with that animal that matters. I didn't understand the importance of support animals until I met my wife Charlie, who struggled with mental health. And one of the things that has truly helped her is having guinea pig. Because of my vision, I don't deal well with animal jumping on me or that sort of thing. So we needed something that was smaller and low maintenance, and but something that Charlie could cuddle with and give attention to and love and that sort of thing.
They're very social animals, so they really like to interact with like people and each other, and they're nosy and they're just so entertaining, even though they're small and they spend a lot of time in their cage. Like they're just always up to something.
I really hope that there can be some systemic changes, because right now there's a lot of apartments that won't accept guinea pigs. So I think that there's a couple potential solutions. One would be for apartment buildings to accept a doctor's note saying, this person needs a support animal and they cannot have a dog or a cat for this reason, so they need a guinea pig or a hamster, whatever it is. Or we need to extend the I don't know what the proper term is, but the support animal registry I'm gonna go with, and include guinea pigs in that and hamsters. I mean, they're not exotic animals. You can get them at the pet store. That to me is not exotic.
I think that it's important that if we are creating housing for people with disabilities, that we must ensure that it's in mixed-use housing, that people with disabilities are within the community, that they are with seniors, they are with students, they are with young families, and any housing that's creative cannot other people. They cannot be pushed out of the community, and we have to bring people into the community. We've already done institutionalization. We know the harms, the generations of harms that it's done, and we just can't go back.
I think the government should sit down with people with disabilities and design what they want and how they can get in and out of their homes without being stuck there or asking for help. They could do it on their own.
And when it comes to housing, and that I hope the government can do something again to build more affordable, accessible places to call home, and ensure that Canadians like myself with disabilities are accommodated well in the place that they are in, and also again they should try and set some, I don't know, rule or policy of how much landlords can charge tenants, and also for landlords how much these companies that do mortgages, etc. They should do a limit of how much they should charge them as well, so it can be equal, and either party doesn't have to be frustrated.
The main thing that government needs to do is, with the help of people with disabilities, is just ask what's the situation with disabilities right now, and then work towards actually making Canada a barrier-free by 2050 as is the goal. But to do this, we gotta come together. We can't just have this issue over here and this issue over there, and because I think there's a lot of, again, disconnection with disability community.
you also need to get rid of what change the PVD system so it's not supporting people, only supporting people with low IQs. IQ, as I mentioned many times, is just a number. It does not tell how the person functions. It does not tell anything about the person's disability. A person may be of a higher functioning, but they may still be lacking many of the skills to keep a roof over their head, and they may not, and they may or may not have enough family support to help them. And in my case, my family is aging,